since 1958, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa has been contributing in several ways to take the country out of economic dilemma. Tell me, agencies are associated with your work. What is the work of the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, the African Development Bank, and ECA? Where are you people different in taking Africa forward?
Well, I mean, there are differences. If there were no differences, this world would be really quite dull. You know, if everybody was saying the same thing. It is normal that we have differences. Actually, the mandates are also quite different. Let's take the example of the IMF. The IMF is an institution that is really focused on macroeconomic stability. So they will come into a country and their number one preoccupation.
When you talk of macroeconomic stability, I want my old mother in the village who have not gone to school to understand what you are talking, because that is the target.
No, I agree, but you know, I'm not here to defend the IMF. I'm just saying what they do.
No, just the concept. That's
yes,
my area of interest.
yes, but that's their mandate. That's what they do. They go into the, let's say, like an accountant. You know, they go into a country and they look into the stability, so they can very much identify the elements that will make this framework, you know, not sustainable, and they will advise governments consequently, and they would like to go in the direction of making sure that the markets are going to respond to the incentives that macroeconomic environment produces. Therefore, they are pushing in that direction. Take the example of the African Development Bank. They will say our number one priority is to rally investment for the continent. And in order for us to have more investment for the continent, more capital coming for the various projects of the continent, we need to identify the priorities in terms of what the transformation agenda may be. And in their case, you know, they say most of our money is going for infrastructure. But take ECA. ECA is a think tank. We are really in the realm of policy. And what we want is to produce ideas and to produce recommendations for the debate, so countries have really the opportunity of looking into their agenda of development and enhance it. Sometimes our advice is taken, sometimes is not.
Most people will accuse you of policy. Can you concretely tell me what you guys have achieved before we end this interview, so that the ordinary man understands what ECA has actually done for Africa?
Well, I will give you just one example. You know, when everybody was very busy with structural adjustment, ECA was saying structural adjustment is no good. You know, we have this alternative framework for structural adjustment. It was not listened to. 20 years later, everybody is doing what ECA has proposed at that time. So this is exactly what policy, when it is well done, when it is properly done, can achieve, is to shift the debate so it has an influence and an impact in the way we invest our resources and in the way the different countries look at development from a different perspective.
Final thought. In 1987, Mr. Strong, the Canadian delegation to the UN World Commission on the Environment and Development, remarked, and I quote, "Virtually all the major forces which determine our well-being and shape our lives today must be perceived and addressed in a global perspective. In a world full of inequalities, economic, political, social, is it possible to consider that statement today?"
Mr. Maurice Strong now lives in China. So it is very interesting that he is not living in Canada, he's living in China. So it means that from a global perspective, he understood where some of the drivers are. So we have just to follow his example.
Everybody.
Everybody.
The Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa and UN Under Secretary General, Bissau Guinean Carlos Lopez, thanks very much for accepting to be guest on our program today.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Charles.